In this video, I'm going to go over how to customize a fade out on your mastered stereo file. You're looking at a stereo master mix of a song that I have saved on its own Logic file. The last 90 seconds of the song consist of a musical phrase repeated over and over. It gets overly repetitive quickly, so I want to cut out some of the end. Since the intended fade area is so long, I'm going to do a longer fade than I would if the coda were shorter. I've selected a 19-second fade out, which I like to call a Hey Jude fade out because I tend to use the same type of fade if a fade out is unusually long. You want to listen closely to the end of the song to determine where you want the fade to begin and where you want it to end. Since we're doing a non-destructive fade, you can always change it later if you don't like the result. A lot of times people use the fade tool. I don't recommend using it. Here's why. Let's pull up the fade tool. So here's our selection. We have it up. And let's make our selection. And if you take the cursor and pull it right, you'll see that the arc changes toward the top. But if I move the cursor down, it doesn't affect the arc toward the bottom. The arc toward the bottom remains kind of like a straight line. Same thing happens when I pull it left. The arc changes this time at the bottom, but stays like a straight line at the top, no matter where I put my cursor. So this is not really very customizable, and I certainly don't want a hard fade like this. So let's get rid of this. Another way to do a fade is to make a selection. Go to this menu right here. Make sure that automation is selected. You can go to the file menu. And another way to do a fade is to select the area you want to fade. I'm just going to select a random area here. Go to the functions menu, do fade out. This is a hard fade. There's nothing interesting about this fade. It's very jarring as far as I'm concerned. So we don't want to do this either. We want to customize the fade. So let's go to the automation. Make sure the automation is on. And I have already selected where I want the beginning and end of the file to be, of the fade to be. This is 19 seconds in between the two dots. As you can see, I'm cutting out a lot here. This right here is where the outro red line is the beginning of the repetitive coda. So what I'm going to do is zoom in on the fade out area. And with the Hey Jude kind of fade, the first thing, well, for any kind of fade, the first thing you do is you pull down into a hard fade the area that you want it to be completely ended. And I'm going to make sure that the rest of it is quiet as well. Okay. And the kind of fade I'm going to do involves having a quiet end so that you're hearing more information coming as the fade is quiet, and you're not noticing the fade at the top much. So I want this to be a little bit straighter. Okay, the top, I'm going to make it a little less noticeable that the fade is starting. And this is generally the shape of a Hey Jude fade. I would make a little bit of quiet information down here, I think, if I were to shape it more. But the next step is to listen to it. You can see the fader going up and down. And kind of determine, did I set enough time? Is that 19 seconds enough? Do I need to make that 24 seconds? Or do I need to make that 10 seconds? So I also want to make sure that the shape of the fade sounds the way I want it to. When I get it to sound the way I want, you want to bounce it. Do not export it. You want to bounce it as the project or section. We're not going to section it off right now, so it would be the project. And that's about it. I hope this was helpful. If you liked the video, consider subscribing. If you want me to mix your multitracks to Atmos and stereo, or if you'd like me to upmix your stereo file into Atmos if you can't find your stems, check out the link below. Have a great day and happy mixing.